Hello and welcome to another Delboy Film Shorts, a little pet project of mine where I'm just going to showcase some of my film collection in a very small amount of time. Now, the format will probably always stay the same. I'm going to do a little bit of an unboxing. I'm going to show what my Collectorz Database has to say about the film. You'll probably see a clip, and then I'll just round up with possibly my thoughts and memories of this film. So we'll start off with the unboxing. So we'll move across to overhead cam, and we're going to be showing off this big boy. This is my Frightners collector's set. As you can see, it's a pretty big beast. And it came, I believe, in two flavors. This particular one is the new artwork, but you could also buy it in the old theatrical sort of like artwork. What happens was, if you had this one, the old artwork was on the inside, and if you bought the theatrical sort of like box, this new artwork would be on the inside. So you got the best of both worlds either way if you bought it. So let's just open this. It's pretty big, and there was a J card, and that's here, so I'm going to put that up to here. This is a German collector set. Haven't seen a UK collector set, but this is a special 6-disc edition. Now that's 2 4K discs, 4 Blu-ray discs, and each of the collections had not only the theatrical cut, it also had the director's cut. So basically you had an awful lot of extras and the glorious 2 different versions of the film. So that was there. I'll hold that up again. You'll need to probably use a translate for that. Then what have we got in here? We've got a calling card from the main character in the film, Frank Bannister. We've got some art cards here. Quite nice. Well, I used to call them lobby cards. See if I can get this off. Been a while since I looked at these own set of cards myself, so here we go. So greetings from Wellington, New Zealand. You'll learn about reason why it says that and not Fairwater, California. There are trivia at the end, at the back end of these cards. I'll hold them up. You might be able to freeze frame those, but they are in German again. Nice little snippet from the film. The Frightners on the back. Nice little piece of artwork. Some trivia again. Murders and Madmen. Quite like these. Again, some trivia. Another main character from the film. You'll get to see him. Wonderful actor. And then a sort of a homage to The Shining there. But generally that is in the film. The Frightners on the back there. So just put those back in a moment. Then we've got 2 posters here. Usually these are quite large because it's a deluxe collector set and quite expensive at that. Here we go. Don't think I'm going to get this all in shot, but that was the original poster. The Frightners. Picture of a ghostly sort of like mask type thing posting through, and Dead Yet listed at the top. And there's the new commissioned artwork for this set on this one. Oh yes. As you can see, very large. When you get rid of those crease marks and put that in a frame, that would be lovely. Not double-sided. Now, something exclusive again to this set is this booklet. Now, I believe it's 194 pages. The Fairwater Gazette, Peter Jackson's The Frightners. It is a book about how it was made. Unfortunately, again, it is in German. But like I say, you can download these things and have them in PDF. So, not a big thing to me. And then you've got the DigiCase, which is absolutely lovely as a DigiCase. So you've got a nice sort of like quite hard box. And you've got the discs all in a gatefold. 6 of them. As you know, 2 4Ks, 4 Blu-rays. And I believe on the back, if I open it this way, you got character studies again. All lovely. Really, really was impressed with this set, which I got at the time that it was, just around about the time that it was released. I think it was slightly after. I got it a discount. So it wasn't the original price. But I think it's quite hard now to get hold of this set. So, but I think if you persevere, you might just get it. And like I say, I don't believe, I mean, my one came from Germany, but I don't believe that there was many in English. I'm not sure. I'd need to look into that. So I do apologise, I don't have that information at hand. But there we go with that set. So we'll now move to my media playback so that we can have a little look and see what it says. My Collectorz software says about this film. Now, the Collectorz software is my database. You can use any database you want, but this is the one that I've been using for years. And it says here the plot. Once an architect, Frank Bannister now passes himself off as an exorcist of evil spirits. To bolster his facade, he claims his special gift is the result of a car accident that killed his wife. What he does not count on is more people dying in the small town where he lives, as he tries to piece together the supernatural mystery of these killings. He falls in love with the wife of one of the victims and deals with a crazy FBI agent. Yes, I remember that. So this is a 1996 film directed by Peter Jackson, produced by Peter Jackson as well. I believe Robert Zemeckis is involved. Writer is Fran Walsh and Peter Jackson. I think Fran Walsh is his wife now, I'm not sure. Cinematography was done by 2 people, John Blick and Alan Bollinger, and that's because John Blick, I believe, had an accident around about a month into the film, and so had to have a relief. And then the musician is Danny Elfman. Now, from a cast, we're in a really good situation with this. You've got Michael J. Fox, one of my favourite stars of the 80s and 90s. And this one was probably his last hurrah as a main actor in a Hollywood film, before he announced to the world his Parkinson's disease diagnosis. But he had been doing films between Back to the Future and this, all most of them considered classics. This one is a different take to all of the films he's been noted for beforehand. We've got Trini Alvarado as Lucy Linsky, that's the love interest. You've got Peter Dobson as Ray Linsky, John Austin as the judge, that's a well-known actor, been in many, many films throughout the years. Milton Drummers as Jeffrey Coombs. Got many more here. You got Jake Busey as John Bartlett. I mean, the famous father Jake Busey's got. And it just goes on and on and on. You got Arlie Emery, who's who's got a really good part in this. He was the platoon sergeant, I think, in Platoon or Full Metal Jacket, I forget which one. But he reprises his role here as a drill sergeant for the ghosts, believe it or not, in the cemetery. So that's a little bit of information there. Moving down, as you can see, it's 6 discs. There's quite a lot to go through here. Development. Peter Jackson and co-writer Fran Welsh conceived the idea of the Frightners in 1992 during the script writing phase of Heavenly Creatures. Together they wrote a 3-page film treatment and sent it to their talent agent in Hollywood. Robert Zemeckis viewed that treatment with the intention of directing The Frightners as a spin-off film of the television series Tales from the Crypt, which he helped produce. Zemeckis hired Jackson and Walsh to turn their treatment into a full-length screenplay in January 1993. The husband and wife duo completed their first draft of The Frighteners in early January 1994. Zemeckis was so impressed with their script he decided The Frighteners would work better directed by Jackson, executive producer by Zemeckis, and funded and distributed by Universal Pictures. Universal green-lighted the film to commence pre-production on a $26 million budget in April 1994. The studio also granted Jackson and Zemeckis total artistic control and the right of final cut privilege. The visual effects were done by Weta Digital, who created the visual effects and animation, which included CGI as well as scale models, which were necessary to make Lytton's look American. So that's the town. Prosthetic makeup and practical effects with help from Weta Workshop. Visual effects supervisor Richard Taylor explained that efforts work on the Frightners was complex due to Weta's inexperience with computer technology in the mid-90s. Prior to this film, Weta had worked largely with physical effects. With so many ghosts among its main cast, the Frightners required more digital effect shots than almost any movie made up until that time. For a special effects company that had been in existence less than 3 years, the 18-month period for completing the Frightners was largely stressful. Some shots were handled by a small New Zealand company called Pixel Perfect, many of whose employers would eventually join Weta Digital. Rick Baker was hired to design the prosthetic makeup for the Judge, portrayed by John Astin. The detachable jawline was later added digitally. However, Baker was not able to apply Astin's 5 hours of makeup due to his commitment on the film The Nutty Professor. Makeup artist Brian Pennicas, who's Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Stones, fulfilled Baker's duties. Now, the soundtrack, the film score was written and composed by Danny Elfman. Who else could it be, really, in a ghostly comedy type film? It was released in 1996 on cassette and compact disc by MCA Records and Universal Records. The closing credits play a cover of Blue Oyster's Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper, performed by New Zealand's alternative rock band The Mutton Birds. The Mutton Birds version of the song had been previously released as a B-side of their single She's Been Talking, released in 1996. The credits also feature Superstar, written by Bonnie Bramlett and Leon Russell, and performed by the Sonic Youth. So on the theatrical release, the intended release date was October 1996, but after Universal Studios executives viewed a rough cut of The Frighteners, they were so impressed enough to make the release date to the summer blockbuster slot on July 19th, 1996. In addition, Universal offered the filmmaker the opportunity to make King Kong, which was not released until 2005. Jackson often disputed the Motion Pictures Association of America's MPAA's decision of the film's rating, aware that he was meant to be delivering Universal a PG-13 rated film. Jackson tried his best to omit graphic violence as much as possible, but the MPAA still believed The Frighteners deserved an R rating. So at the box office, The Frightners was released in the United States to 1,675 theatres and opened up at number 5, earning $5,565,495 during its opening weekend, averaging $3,335 per theatre. The film eventually grossed a worldwide total of $29 million. The Frightners ended up being a box office disappointment, mostly due to competition from the film Independence Day, and I think we know what a behemoth Independence Day was back in the day. In interviews conducted later after the Frightners release, Jackson commented he was disappointed by Universal's ambiguous marketing campaign, including a poster which didn't tell you anything about the film, which he believed was the primary reason the film was not a financial success. Additionally, the film opened up on the same day as the Atlanta Summer Olympics began. My God, you had Independence Day and the Summer Olympic Games to begin with. Okay. When Jackson realised this and told the studio, they answered, "We don't think so. Our research indicates that's not the case." And I just thought, how the hell do they know that? There had only ever been 3 Olympic Games held in the United States in 100 years. Jackson acknowledged the Frightners' tone made it hard to pigeonhole and sell, and his experience on the film made him understand the importance of marketing. From the awards point of view, at the 23rd Saturn Awards, the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy and Horror Films honoured Jackson with nominations for Best Director and Best Writing. The latter he shared with his wife, Fran Welsh. The Frightners also was nominated for Best Horror Film and for its special effects and makeup, which was done by Rick Baker, and music, Danny Elfman. Michael J. Fox and Jeffrey Combs were also nominated for their work. Wow, that's an awful lot of information to give out, so I'm going to move immediately to the clip playback, and then I'll give you a little bit of an outgo of this.
There has been a destructive force unleashed on this town such as I have never seen.
Oh my God, I don't believe this. This is not happening!
We have got a poltergeist!
Okay, well, folks, I can do a clearance, but it's not going to be cheap. Although I do offer a 6-month guarantee.
That fellow takes us totally for granted.
Hey, Stuart, in or out, huh?
Frank Bannister had a remarkable ability
Psychic investigator?
to communicate with the dead.
You could see spirits?
Emanations are normally confined to the cemetery,
You cannot push spirits around!
although they do escape.
And an uncanny knack
We're gonna scare the living daylights out of your parents.
for making a profit off the living.
We're supposed to be his business partners.
Everyone says that you're a fraud, but I've seen what you can do.
Give it up, Frank. Death ain't no way to make a living.
But now, some things put the fear of death in the living
What is happening to me?
and send the dead
Judge!
running for their lives.
I've seen a figure in a cape.
That was the soul collector.
We have 28 unexplained deaths here.
Frank, we got problems. All these murders that have been going on in Fairwater, they're gonna pin them on you.
From Universal Pictures and Robert Zemeckis
You're next, pal.
and acclaimed director Peter Jackson.
We don't stop till the screaming starts, you dig?
The Frightners.
There we go with the clip. And just to, because we're overrunning a little bit, just to give you some ideas of this, I did go to the cinema to see this and came away a little bit cold. Maybe that's because I hadn't seen Michael J. Fox in a film quite like this, although he had been in some serious films, especially a particular war-type film, which I'll talk about in another short. But I believe really that one of the other reason why it might not have been quite as successful is possibly because it is a different type of role for Michael J. Fox. To be quite honest, it's a very good film, but it's not a Ghostbusters and it's not a fully fledged horror film. It's a sort of like in between. And unless you go fully one way or the other, I believe that can also have a bit of an impact. I really liked the story. I came away really liking the story. Enough for me to buy this on DVD and Blu-ray, and now in my 4K collection. The only edition I didn't have was the Laserdisc, which I'm a little bit, I wish I'd have had it, is what I suppose what I was wanting to say, because it did have a lot of extra features and the extended cut well before the DVD and the Blu-ray releases ever did. It was a signature collection from the cinema, from the distributor, and so just like my Jaws, it would have been an incredible set. And that's all really I've got to say about the film, other than I think it is a thumbs up. It's one of those films that when you first see, you'll probably not like very much, but when you then go back to it and look at it, you actually go, why didn't I like that film quite so much? It really is that type of film, and you get to fondly like it later on more than on its initial first watch. So do give it a chance, and if you can find that deluxe set that I've got, go out and buy it. And with that, don't get too frightened. It's coming up to Halloween. Bye bye.